The moment John Cena turned heel at Elimination Chamber 2025, the WWE Universe was sent into a frenzy it hadn't experienced in years. Not because heel turns were rare in wrestling, but because this one shattered a sacred institution. For 2 decades, Cena had been the embodiment of WWE's family-friendly branding, the poster child for hustle, loyalty, and respect. But in that arena, surrounded by disbelief and erupting boos that hadn't been this organic since the Attitude Era, Cena didn't just betray Cody Rhodes. He betrayed the entire system he helped build, and in doing so, he opened a new chapter in WWE history that is redefining every division, every storyline, and every perception of loyalty within the company. It wasn't just that he cost Cody the World Heavyweight Championship, it was the way he did it, waiting until the last second to appear, walking down in silence, locking eyes with a stunned Rhodes, and then drilling him with an attitude adjustment onto a steel chair before calmly leaving. There was no smug promo the next night, no merchandise drop, no ironic t-shirt poking fun at the moment. He vanished from WWE television for 3 weeks, letting the chaos he created simmer into revolution. Fans weren't just angry, they were betrayed. And yet, in that betrayal came one of the most seismic shifts in fan engagement WWE has seen in years. Cena's heel turn wasn't manufactured heat. It wasn't a calculated marketing move. It was a character implosion that called into question the moral compass of WWE itself, and it instantly destabilized everything. Roman Reigns, once the standard bearer of villainy in the company, suddenly felt out of place. For all of Roman's dominance, manipulation, and bloodline-centric corruption, Cena had done something even more personal. He burned trust, and in doing so, he redefined what being a heel could mean in 2025. The aftershocks were immediate. Merchandise for Cena was pulled from the WWE shop within hours. Stockholders expressed concern about brand confusion, as Cena still had endorsement deals with several mainstream partners. Internally, creative departments scrambled because no one had mapped out what a heel Cena program would look like. The locker room was just as stunned. Younger talents who had grown up idolizing Cena were now expected to respond to him in a dramatically different tone, both on and off screen. Some didn't know whether to stay in character or confront the man behind the heel in the privacy of the locker room. But that's precisely why it worked, because Cena didn't just play a heel, he became the shadow of everything he once preached. No corny insults, no grinning arrogance, just cold, calculated presence. He refused interviews, he refused commentary appearances. He didn't scream, he didn't plead. He spoke with the same cadence that once inspired kids to dream, except now his message was laced with resentment. For 20 years, I gave you everything. I stayed when I should have left, I gave when I should have taken, and you cheered until someone shinier showed up. It wasn't a promo, it was a confession. And in that confession, Cena dismantled the very archetype he helped cement, the unshakable hero. The heel turn exposed WWE's own hypocrisy. The same fans who had booed Cena for a decade were now begging for his redemption. The same commentators who praised his loyalty were now questioning his legacy. Cena used their words against them, splicing old commentary audio into his entrance video. Quotes from Michael Cole, Corey Graves, and even Triple H, praising Cena's character only to contrast them with his brutal new actions. He was no longer just a character, he was a statement. And perhaps most shockingly, the heel turn wasn't about championships. Cena didn't go after Seth Rollins or Roman Reigns or Gunther. He didn't demand a title match. Instead, he began targeting moments, not people, not belts, moments. He interrupted Jey Uso's entrance at WrestleMania kickoff, not to attack him, but to stare at him until Jey walked away. He showed up during LA Knight's promo to simply take the mic and drop it on the ground. He walked into the NXT locker room during a taping, stood silently, then turned and walked away, leaving rising stars paralyzed with anxiety. The psychology of Cena's heel turn transcended the usual tropes. He didn't need to cheat, he didn't need backup, he weaponized his presence. The weight of 20 years of goodwill now reversed into fear. What do you do when the man who once saved the company has nothing left to protect? You don't fight him, you avoid him, and that's what made him terrifying. Creative booking shifted around him. Long-term storylines were altered. The company was no longer building to WrestleMania with predictable Royal Rumble winners or championship clashes. Everything was now orbiting Cena, not because he was the center of a feud, but because his unpredictability had upended the entire structure. You couldn't plan when he'd show up, and that forced WWE to finally embrace the one thing it had lost: tension. Even Triple H had to adjust publicly. In a rare out-of-character moment during a press conference, he admitted that John is writing his own own legacy now, and we're letting him. That statement was unprecedented in the modern era. WWE hadn't allowed a star to go off script in years. Cena wasn't just a performer anymore, he was rewriting the rules of engagement, and that energy trickled down. With Cena showing how to evolve, other veterans took notice. Randy Orton leaned further into his own darkness, not to mimic Cena, but to finally detach himself from nostalgia. AJ Styles began working stiffer, angrier matches, shedding his phenomenal branding in favor of raw grit. Even someone like Sami Zayn, who had become a reliable babyface, cut a promo questioning whether loyalty in WWE meant anything anymore. The heel turn also exposed something more corporate, the illusion of permanence. Cena was always the guy WWE relied on to bring back lapsed fans, but now, his return didn't boost ratings, it shook them. Audiences didn't know how to react, kids cried. Adults argued online whether this was the real Cena or a character. The lines blurred in a way that WWE hadn't achieved since the CM Punk pipe bomb. But this wasn't rebellion from the bottom, this was betrayal from the top, and that shift forced WWE to start listening again. Focus groups were scrapped, social media sentiment was analyzed in real time. The company stopped scripting promos word for word. Stars like Carmelo Hayes and Braun Breaker were suddenly given more creative freedom as WWE began trusting organic reaction again, something it had stifled for years. Cena didn't just disrupt narratives, he disrupted the infrastructure, and for the first time in over a decade, WWE became must-watch again. Not because of title matches, not because of celebrity appearances, but because fans wanted to see what Cena would do next. When he finally confronted Cody Rhodes in the ring again, he didn't apologize. He didn't even speak. He looked at Cody's torn-up dusty tribute belt, smirked, and walked away. It was a message without words. Dreams don't matter anymore. The psychological warfare extended beyond TV. Cena began posting cryptic messages online, not in character, but with enough ambiguity to make fans question what was real. A photo of a broken mirror, a quote from Nietzsche, a caption that simply read, "Too late." His social media, once a safe space of motivational quotes and charity shoutouts, became a mood board for cynicism. The message was clear, the hero was gone, but the brilliance of Cena's heel turn wasn't in the destruction, it was in the exposure. He forced WWE to confront its unwillingness to change. He exposed how much the company leaned on nostalgia, on fake moments, on predictable arcs. And by turning heel, he didn't just reinvent himself, he forced everyone else to evolve or be exposed. And they are evolving. Kevin Owens has become more volatile. Becky Lynch started questioning authority again. Even Logan Paul, who thrives on controversy, looked shaken during a backstage segment with Cena, unsure whether to play it cool or get out of his way. Cena's heel turn wasn't theatrical, it was existential, and it's leading somewhere, but not to a title match, not to a Hall of Fame induction. It's leading to a confrontation of ideology. Cena versus Cody is no longer just a match, it's a referendum. Can the new face of WWE survive the wrath of the man who no longer believes in faces? And more importantly, can WWE survive the mirror that Cena is holding up to its soul? Because Cena isn't acting. That's the scariest part. This heel turn didn't come with pyro and gimmicks. It came with silence, with stillness, with the kind of authenticity that no scripted promo can replicate. And that's why it's working, because it's not a gimmick, it's an audit of the fans, of the company, of himself. And that audit is spreading. WWE programming has become more reactive, more dangerous. Even the commentary teams sound different now. Less rehearsed, more raw. Michael Cole stumbled over his words during Cena's last appearance, genuinely unsure how to narrate what he was witnessing. Corey Graves, usually snarky, spoke in hushed tones. They weren't calling a segment, they were processing an event. That's the power of a real heel turn, not one designed for booze, one designed to rewire how you think. Cena's turn didn't just give WWE a new storyline, it gave them a new language, and fans are learning to speak it. Every crowd now watches entrances with unease, wondering if Cena will appear. Every babyface knows their promo might be interrupted not for heat, but for annihilation, and every legend now wonders what their legacy really means if Cena's can be corrupted so completely. For years, WWE operated under the assumption that legacy was untouchable, that once you crossed into a certain echelon, your image was enshrined, carefully curated to live forever on video packages and network specials. But Cena cracked that open by choosing to break the image himself. WWE didn't turn him heel, he turned the company on its own logic. And now, that enshrinement model is broken. Nobody feels safe anymore in the arms of nostalgia. It's no longer about good versus evil. It's about disillusionment, about purpose. Cena was the compass, and now he's the storm. The company that once depended on him to save WrestleMania now fears what he might destroy before it even begins. And that fear, that tension, that unpredictability,